My next door neighbor, after we had moved, we hadn't hung out in a while, she invited me to this Halloween party. There was this guy there, his name was Mitchell, and we hadn't met before, but so we met there, and he was friends with a couple of kids in my home group, and we just started texting, and then after talking, we started dating, and he was into a lot more stuff that I didn't think was good, but you know, like every girl, you want to be with him, and so you do whatever you need to do. I made it aware that I was a Christian, that I was, you know, into God, and that if we were going to be in a relationship, that's how it was going to be. It started off just us hanging out together, and then it got into, you know, hey, let's do this. And then it just got into pretty much every time we hung out, stuff was happening. Clothes being taken off, hands going in places. And then afterwards, I would feel guilty, and I would tell him, you know, hey, God's telling me that things aren't right, we need to fix these things. He would be like, yeah, sure, what, if that's what you want. And so, but then we would go back to the same thing, and then I would tell him that again, and then it'd happen again, and it just kept on repeating. All the time I knew in the back of my head that it was wrong and that it wasn't going to work out, but I wanted to be with him. He was my first real boyfriend, and so I just kept pushing that to the back of my head and not ever thinking about it. I felt a little bit more mature, a little bit more older, because I was capable of getting into this kind of stuff, and at school and stuff, when my friends would talk about it, you know, I could get along, or I could have the same feeling that they had, because I know that I had done that stuff, and I wasn't, you know, always the nerd that everybody called me. I justify it as, you know, it's not sex. I definitely did everything I could to convince myself that what I was doing wasn't, you know, as horrible as it really was. I didn't want to get out of it because I knew I'd be heartbroken. I'd rather just suffer through that instead of suffer through a heartbreak or suffer through a breakup. So I definitely felt swept up and caught up in it all. It's a burden, and it still is a burden. I see it as my consequence. It's something that I have to deal with forever, you know, that I couldn't wait, and that I got into all of this, and it is definitely a big burden that I carry around, knowing that, you know, my friends, you know, I can sit and have a decent, you know, conversation about God. When that kind of stuff comes out, I just have to bow out, because just if they ever found out that stuff happened, I feel like they would just have a totally different outlook on me.